Would you like to say something about my question from last Sunday? I'm currently not in contact with men, but I'm still interested in your answer. Sure. There's one question. It seems that this love that I am, this love that is always looking through my eyes, can't express fully, especially in being with men. They misunderstand it, take it personally, and want to own me. There's a feeling like I'm not allowed to be really myself. Do you like to say something about this? I remember that you said you learned to hold yourself back in the YouTube videos because of this. Sorry for my English, I'm trying my best. I tend to find that all issues in our life come back to ourselves. So even if I've said whatever I've said in the past, I say so many things, I kind of said everything, so I'm this and that, I changed my mind, I believe this and then that and then this and then that. So I kind of feel like all issues come back to ourselves. So you got this particular body because of the karma of this particular body and this particular story. You got these particular parents that conditioned you in a certain way because of the karma of that particular being. So your interactions with men is not any mistake. It's like the perfect flow of the karma of that body, but the karma of that body isn't yours, isn't personal because you don't exist. It's just the karma of the body, just like the karma of a tree. Like if the tree is grown with like lots of rock, then the tree is stunted and not very big. If it's grown in a really windy area, maybe it bends. And so we all have particular karmas, and it seems to, so the Buddhists believe in something called, or the Buddhists that I was studying with believe in rebirth. And this really works for me, this idea of rebirth, because I feel like what they say rebirth is, or the way that I got taught it, was that what gets reborn is habits and conditioning. And I feel like this is true. Like if you look at a Labrador and you breed Labradors, or if you have Labradors, so Labradors, I don't know what it is in German or in other European languages or any other languages that's listening in Hindi or any language. It's that white dog that's about medium size and they're quite enthusiastic and they have flat ears. There's a Marley and Me. There's a famous film called Marley and Me, I think. It's really cute about a Labrador. But if you look at Labradors and if you take Labradors, they tend to have very similar personalities that get passed from them. So Labrador tends to have greediness, and if you've had Labradors, you'll know what I mean. They've got a breeding default in them which makes them greedy dogs, and they're very interested in food, which can be a good thing because it means you can manipulate them to get them to do things for food. They tend to be quite playful and energetic and like clumsy. They tend to love swimming and fetching things, retrieving things. So there is these traits which get passed down, and we selectively breed them to have these traits, because in the past we used to have them as retrieving. I think it was ducks or something. I'm not exactly sure what the Labrador did. And when I look at them, like when you've had dogs over the years, you begin to feel like their qualities get carried on through the children. And when you see life as impersonal, like there isn't people inside the mother or the son or the grandson or the great-grandson, so when there isn't people or beings inside there, like separate souls, you begin to see it as like energy. It's like karma acting itself out of this thing called Labrador. And it's not that it belongs to somebody called the son or somebody called the daughter or somebody called the granddaughter or somebody called the mother. It's like habits and conditioning that are getting passed on. And we do that through breeding as well. Like, so when you have a kid, you mix these two habits and conditions, so genetics and habits, and then you condition them as well when they come into this life. And everyone that you meet, you pass on your conditions as well. So if you're in relationship with someone, you always pick up their conditions, their particular ways of being, they affect you. So I kind of feel like this is true, and especially when you, or this is closer to truth than other ways of describing rebirth or reincarnation. And when you take it as not personally, you see that, like, my family line, but it's not just my family line, it's kind of like humanity has particular conditions, like particular and genetic setup, and this body mind is the current, one of the current manifestations of it, acting out. And through acting out, like a stone on the a beach, it will begin to get carved by the life in which it's interacting in. So life will begin to affect me, and then if I have children, I'll pass it on to those children, and then those children will pass it on to the next children, these habits and these conditions that are genetic and social. And I it's kind of like, I see everything as this dream of oneness. So it's one consciousness, one life that's dreaming through all these multiple beings, and all these multiple beings are constantly expanding their current genetics and conditioning. So you could say the whole of life's purpose is to expand. If you look at everything, it's always trying to grow, like the trees are trying to reproduce and grow the most. Like everything is trying to grow and expand and take up more and more and more room. And they even say that about the universe, that the universe is constantly expanding and getting bigger, which is really crazy, because how does it get bigger out of nothing? But it does. That's mad. So so that's what we're doing as humans. We're becoming more intelligent, more open, we're expanding in all these different ways. Like knowledge is infinite, our capacity is infinite, our abilities are infinite. And you can see it from the beginning of life, like how life has got more and more complex since the evolution of it, or through the evolution of it. And so I kind of feel that everything you see and experience in this life is kind of a reflection of your own particular karma and genetics, everything. And like they're presented in order for them to expand. So any issues that I have with men over the internet falling in love with me, it has got less over the years. But any dynamics that happen with men over the internet, I kind of see it as this body's karma, like even the most difficult stuff. And I can assure you, being public on the internet, you have difficult experiences with people. And for me, it's been mainly men. I haven't really had many difficult experiences with women, unless it was women pretending to be men, could be. And I see it as my karma, like it's my issue, and any thought or ideas I have around it is all my karma. It's all this body's particular way of thinking about it. So you can kind of feel it when you really get sensitive to it. So if I go into like men being inappropriate to me on the internet, like I can take it back to my childhood. Like in my childhood, I remember like at lunch, at break time, like I always used to have really cool lunches. My mum packed me really great lunches, and you were allowed a snack at break time. And I remember all the beggars would come out, so everyone would be sitting there eating their snack, and then once they'd finished their snack, they'd go and beg off other people, can I have a crisp, or can I have a sweetie, can I have a crisp? And I always couldn't say no. Like I just had to give everybody that asked a crisp. Like I felt so sorry for them. Like I couldn't say no. And then I used to really like, I didn't envy, but I used to be really amazed at the people that could be like, no, it's mine, go away. And I can see and relate to how that impacted me with men over the internet. Like, and like a lack of boundaries and focusing too much on the other person's freedom. Like when I was younger, it was like focusing too much on their happiness. These types of things, and you can see how it all works so perfectly. Like if I was a different personality, it was more like no, no, no. I'm sure it would happen less. Like it's all our karma, and your job is to see that none of that brings you happiness or unhappiness. None of that is who you are. Who you are is this freedom that's right here. These are just conditions arising. When you're really identified with it, that becomes your unhappiness. And then you seek to avoid it or you seek to gain it. And the thing that I think all of these dynamics, everything that brings you pleasure or pain, is wanting to do is to expand. So it doesn't want to stay still. So me, like giving all my crisps away at break time, it doesn't want to stand still. That condition, that particular way of being, wants to expand. Whether it be like I become like a millionaire and give away everything, like all my money and everything, or I give away all my personality, like my sense of self, whatever it might be, that dynamic wants to expand. And it's just seeing what limits that expansion. It's really beautiful. I might not describe it very well. I don't know if you understand what I mean, but I can feel it. It's hard sometimes to put these things into words, but I feel that really passionately. So that's that. If you feel anything you'd like to say back from that, please do.